You are listening to the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast with your host, Eric Logan. No Gimmicks, Just Sweat is dedicated to hearing the journeys and unique stories behind an athlete's training and what drives them. Get inspired to own your life and make the impossible possible. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please take a few seconds to rate the show and drop me a review. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the No Gimmicks Just Sweat podcast. And today we have Cheryl Miller as our guest. And before we start, just let everyone know this is Cheryl Miller, the runner, not Cheryl Miller, the basketball player. And I bet you probably get that a lot, right?
I do. And it's cool. I mean, it's a huge honor, but no, I wish I could dunk like her, but I can't.
Well, thank you for coming on to the show.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really pleased that I could be on your show. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to start off with, like we do every show, with pretty much just some rapid fire questions to kind of break the ice a little bit.
Awesome.
So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Morning runs or evening runs?
Ooh, morning.
Solo runs or group runs?
Oh, single.
Okay. Run on the treadmill or run outside?
Outside.
Trail runs or road runs?
Ooh, that's tough. Oh, like a mix. Like a little bit on the road, a little bit on the trail. I love both.
Okay. All right. Your favorite race distance to run?
Favorite race distance? Well, when I was younger, it was the 1500. These days, it's more of sort of the 10K distance.
Okay, cool. All right. The first thing you do after a race?
First thing I do, well, I kind of like to hang out at the finish line and congratulate other runners and kind of just be part of the community. So that's kind of the very, very first thing. And then after that, it's just kind of booking to get something good to eat and celebrate, another race done. And my favorite's Mexican food. So if there's a local Mexican food restaurant, you'll probably find me there.
You are the second person to say that.
Oh, I don't know what it is, but it's just, I feel like, okay, it's, the race is done. I can get my fajitas or whatnot.
Usually I'm a burger person after a race. But you're the second person that said after a race, they love Mexican.
Oh, no, Mexican.
So I might have to give it a try.
No, you do. And I should have qualified when I said morning run. I can run at any time as long as there's first. I need that first cup of coffee. It just does something for me, mentally, physically. I need that little hug in a mug.
Hug in a mug. Okay, that's new. I've never heard that phrase before, but okay, hug in a mug.
Yeah.
All right, your dream race to run.
My dream race to run. Oh gosh, that's a really good one. I almost sort of ran my dream race just recently. I had my heart on running a 50K, and I feel really very blessed because I had an opportunity to do that 2 weeks ago. So up until this point, that was my dream race. And I guess right now I'm in a mode where I'm thinking really hard about what I want to do next and what kind of the next challenge or goal would be.
Okay. All right. If you can go on a run with any celebrity or athlete, dead or alive.
Ooh. I can't be running with no deadbeats, but let's see. Oh, it would be Will Smith because because we'd get jiggy with it and share the same birthday, actually, only he's 10 years my senior, and we're both Libras, and recently he's also been just working out and stuff. And so if he were to show up and say, come on, let's go for a run, I think we'd both tell some jokes and it would be a really fun run.
Oh, okay. All right, last one. Dream location, anywhere in the world that you would love to go for a run.
Anywhere in the world where I would love to go for a run. Let's see. I'm pretty lucky because I've gotten to run in some really amazing places already. Some that might actually be hard to top, but what's been up on my list now, Hawaii. I've not been there, and I think Hawaii would be pretty cool, and also the coast of Italy, I think.
Okay. Hawaii is on my list. That's one of the places I do want to run myself. Run against the yeah. All right. So let's learn who Cheryl Miller is. Not just who you are, what you do, and where you're from, but your origin story.
My origin story. All right. So my origin story, I was, this is my opinion of myself from an outsider looking in, and maybe I'll also explain it from an insider looking out. I was a scrappy little kid, and I, grew up in the inner city originally, and my mom had just lots of issues, right? And so I didn't really have what I think most people would call a normal childhood. And my grandparents wound up stepping in and raising me and taking care of me. And we moved from Jersey City out to Long Island. And in high school, in junior, I just wanted to be a part of stuff. So sports was an awesome way for me to be a part of things. And I tried different sports. I loved volleyball, field hockey. I actually loved gym. And the high school got a new track coach, and he recruited me one day. He just kind of, in his way, just got in my face, really challenged, come out for the track team. And I was so shy. I was scared to come out for it. But I did. And I made the track team as a young person. I was, seventh grader, kind of on the varsity team, which was awesome, but also had its challenges. And I don't know what really focused me on getting serious. I think in part it was him. He just really believed me. I had a really good team. I mean, the girls that were part of my team, they were just so supportive. And we just started setting some big goals on winning state championships and, breaking records and doing that kind of thing. And that time in the background, I'd every now and then I'd catch glimpses of like Jackie Joyner Kersee on TV and all these incredible runners who, to me, like, it was just so inspiring. And I thought, I want to be just like her. I remember I had her picture up in my bedroom for a long time. And other runners as well, as they just came along, through the Olympics and other things. My bedroom had all these different photos of them, etc. And I had a great, wonderful experience kind of in high school track, then went to Georgetown to run. I ran for a little bit, but wound up really injuring my ankle, which made running tough. And, had to make some tough decisions, decided to leave the Georgetown track team, and then started really doing more work with kids who kind of needed help, and kids who were in need. And that was really fulfilling to me through tutoring programs, through the Devereaux Foundation, all these different organizations in DC. And went to work after college, kind of got caught up in all this technology stuff. It just seemed really cool. And one day just really got encouraged and went to law school. And, it was one of the toughest things I'd ever done outside of running. I think it just was intimidating because my parents never even graduated from high school. So the fact that I had just graduated high school, it was kind of like, whew, phew.
Right.
That worked out really well. And then went on to college. And that worked out well. And I remember my aunt actually saying to me, like, Georgetown is a lot of people actually commented, Georgetown's a tough school, you sure you don't want to go somewhere else? You might not make it. Like, they might not be supportive of someone like you. And I think what they were trying to get at is that I was a brown kid, right? And they saw Georgetown as a white. I think that's there no matter where you are. If you're someone of color, I think there are always situations where you feel like maybe you're an outsider, or at least that was true for me. Like, some places where I thought I'd feel like an outsider, I'd feel more welcome, and other places I wouldn't. I made incredible friends at Georgetown, and the Georgetown community was truly phenomenal. College was a big step for me just because, my family, no one went. And so I showed up with like a duffel bag and some clothes, and, I had kids move, and, it was just unreal to me. I really didn't understand what I was getting myself into. And then after that, I just always had this weird feeling like I wanted to do more. I needed to do more. And I fell in love sort of with policy work. And I don't know, I wanted to do more with that. And so I went ahead and enrolled in law school. I wound up going to Catholic law and had awesome, just awesome classes, awesome professors. It was just an incredible experience, and launched a legal career, which is just, it was like a dream. It's something I never thought that I would do. And I worked in various places. I went in-house first. I worked for France Telecom. But before even doing that, I felt like law school was such a, not a selfish pursuit, but it is a pursuit where you're just really focused on you. And I wanted to do something to give back. And so I actually worked for free for almost a year for Women International. I was a volunteer, and they go in and they help women in different war-torn countries, help build schools and do a lot of things like that. And so that was really rewarding for me. So I did that before I actually kind of focused on, okay, what am I going to do longer term? So started at France Telecom and quickly moved up. Had a great time there, and then got a phone call from the administration, and they asked if I would come and work at the Small Business Administration in a very special office called the Office of Advocacy. So this office is actually, it's not political, it's independent. And what they do is they advocate on behalf of women-owned, minority-owned, small businesses, veteran-owned, to try to make sure that rules and regulations don't crush these small business owners when they're trying to engage in entrepreneurship. And so that was really cool. And one day I was calling over to counterparts at Senator wanted me to come in, Senator Landrieu, to talk about broadband. And I thought, okay. I came in and I started talking about broadband to one of her staff, the head of the small business committee, and he told me to just stop talking. He said, we want to hire you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I thought, he said, well, first we want you to come over on call it a detail, when you can go to a different branch of the government, and you're almost sort of on loan. Cool, because it's kind of like, like you're on your own mission. And that was so cool for me. I really loved it. And I was not from Louisiana, but she would tell people I was from North Louisiana, New York. And it was awesome to get to learn about a whole nother part of the country, because I think we get so siloed in, East Coast, West Coast. And that was an opportunity I hadn't had before. And so I worked my detail, and it was kind of time to go back. And I kept, I kind of have to go, I can't stay. And they made me an offer to stay. And I said, of course. And my first day officially on the job was the oil spill. And that was really tough. That was really tough for the state of Louisiana. It was just, it was just a tragedy. And, Louisiana is a state that had so many other things happening, including Hurricane Katrina, not that long before. And so my portfolio was actually telecom, but we did a lot of work around that as well. And then after that, I went and I worked at Verizon for a while. So it was really different. Small business, total small business focus, really big company. And while at Verizon, I transitioned to the international team. And that's when I started traveling a lot. And I got to work on a lot of women in tech issues globally, and just speak with different diplomats around the world, and talk about technology and the benefits in broadband. And it was a wonderful opportunity. I got to meet some just amazing. I wound up holding a seat for technology at the United Nations, which was just like, I remember gone there as a kid. I forget, I think it was like 6th grade or 7th grade or something. We had a trip to the UN, and to go back, just, I had chills, and I got to give a speech before everyone. And that was just kind of one of those things I never imagined myself doing, but it was wonderful. And what would be really amazing on these trips is that in the hallways, I would just get to talk to different women from all over the world, because, as a businesswoman in the US, it's very different than other countries. Like, we don't all have the same liberties and the same rights. And so I spend a lot of time trying to mentor other women in the hallway, over lunch or whatnot, just women who wanted to grow and learn in their careers. And so that was always rewarding for me. And in the background, I was teaching at GW. So I helped to start their master's program for intellectual property law. And that whole paralegal program actually just became ABA approved. So I'm really happy and excited for them. But then I was actually kind of sitting on a beach in Greece, and wasn't sure what I wanted to do kind of moving forward, but decided that it was time for me to retire. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I just felt in my heart I had done a lot of things in the legal world, and I wanted to take a step back, because I think sometimes pausing, you get a different perspective of you and the world, etc. And I wasn't running a ton during these years. I just didn't have the time. I'd fall asleep in one country, plane going one way, wake up another location. It was on the move. If I did run, it was like on a treadmill at 3 a.m. It wasn't kind of the enjoyable runs that I can do today. And I retired, and then found out I was pregnant with my son. And that was just like such a blessing, because I had never thought, I was told that wasn't a possibility for me when I was younger. And so even though I was an older mom, it was just almost kind of like I was doing everything the flip side of the way my my friends did it. They had kids and then went back to work, and here I was, like, I had a career, retired, and became a mom. But that's where I found running again, or running kind of just came to me. I don't know. It started with just short walks with my son, and my partner, always so supportive, would just encourage me to go out. And at the beginning, I couldn't even run. I could barely walk. And then my love for it just came through, and the joy that it brings me. And then I just started kind of signing up for races and stuff, and connected with some awesome coaches, and completed my longest distance ever 2 weeks ago, and that was the 50K. Never thought my legs would last, but they did.
Yes, we're always surprised at what our bodies can do.
Man, yes,
our bodies know us better than we do.
They do. And I mean, I was in labor for 27 hours, and I just kept thinking about that during my race. When I'd have these hard parts, I thought, come on, Cheryl, this is a couple hours, but remember, you were kind of in another challenging situation for 27 hours straight. So
right. So as you led a hectic lifestyle. That's probably that's probably the best way to describe it. A very busy, very hectic lifestyle, and then to kind of go and flip to running.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself having to really readjust yourself? Because it's one thing to run and not necessarily, I'm doing quote marks, run as in, run, but metaphorically run to, have that career, have that, that life, but then to start running afterwards.
Yeah. It definitely was a transition, and in the middle of all that, it was becoming a new mom too. I had no idea what I was doing, so it was definitely a big transition, and my mind is always working, and I think that's why I got into writing. So I started writing articles. I wrote an article for Runner's World. I wrote some things for Hoka One One, and I'm always kind of writing in the background as well, and sort of doing side work in addition. So much had also changed with running, with being a runner. Back when I was a runner per se, just the technology was so different. Everything was so different. I mean, running today is just so much more almost of a science. We didn't really get as involved in, the aerobic, anaerobic thresholds and it's very different. It's very specific now in terms of the fueling and all of that. So it was a learning process for me as well. And I'm sure I'm sure in the beginning it was tough for my coaches just because part of me is just like, like, why do we need to do? We just like, I'm just going to go out and do X, Y, and Z. But it's been great. It's been really a positive experience for me. And it's been like, I don't know, finding an old friend again, if that makes sense. I know that's probably so cheesy, but.
Oh yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You kind of lost that relationship with running for a while, and now you've kind of regained that relationship with running.
Yeah.
So making that transition, so what, from a training aspect, what does training, look like for you, on a typical week, but now you're balancing being a parent as well.
So it really depends. When I'm training for a 5K or a 10K, the mileage is much less. And my training really is stacked around what the goal is, right? And so for my 50K, it was always increasing. So I'd have long runs on the weekend, whether it was marathon length or, some days I had double workouts, so you're getting 30 miles in a day. It was tough because it is time away from my son, right? And luckily, I'm fortunate in that I've got folks who are good enough to watch him while mom's out doing her. It gets tough mentally as well when you get to the bigger distances because I didn't start off as a long distance person. I really, I when I was in high school, I really wanted to be a 100-meter runner. And I think every high school student at one point, the sprinters are cool, like they're fast, they're cool. You always want to be a sprinter, right? You want to be fast. And you try that. And then, you have these conversations with your coach. And my coach was really great. When he moved me up, he really made it my choice to move up. Even though like I still had that feeling in my heart, I was going to run like 9 seconds someday for the 100-meter.
Yeah.
But he moved me up and he really, kind of built my confidence in the longer races. And so he just built my team around me as well. And so I think the way he did it was just a very positive way of kind of moving someone up. And I think about that now because I'm starting to get involved in coaching at the high school level. And it's just interesting to be on the opposite side, when you're talking with about their future and just watching them and being able to spot that talent and think about, okay, well, a year out, where could that athlete be? 2 years out, 5 years out, that sort of planning.
Do you, speaking of coaching, do you currently have a coach?
I currently have a coach. He's awesome. His name is Coach Morgan Lattimore. He is actually a master sergeant in the U.S. Marines, and he coaches mainly triathletes. But he does coach me endurance runners too. Also a lot of, I guess, executive coaching. So non-run coaching, but just like executive coaching and life coaching for people. And we connected through Hoka One One and helped me train for my recent 50K. He's an endurance specialist, and he does focus a lot on kind of mental preparation. And that was something that I definitely needed just to get myself ready for that type of a distance.
Okay. And then speaking of Hoka, so would that be to say that Hoka is your favorite running shoe?
They are my favorite. I have some favorite shoes of theirs. And there aren't other shoes out there that I love from other companies too, but they are my favorite. And they're also my favorite company. I just really appreciate the way they've kind of targeted their mission to empower athletes and to
Yes.
build and to do those types of things. And that really resonates with me 100%.
Yes. That is one of the reasons why I've been with Hoka for quite a few years. And I can't see myself running in another shoe.
Yeah.
And at the same time, to see the things that they do as a company and as a brand, overall, when you look at other shoes and stuff, and again, I'm not talking bad or talking down on any other shoe company, making that very clear here.
Yeah.
But you see that, they make an immediate stance against things.
Yeah.
Kind of say like, hey, this is where we stand on this and this is why. And it's more or less not a follow the leader type thing. It's like, yo, this is what we do and we live it every day.
Yeah.
So what's your go-to Hoka shoe for running?
So it depends on the distance, but lately I've really, really loved the Speed Goat 4 because I've done quite a bit of running on the trails. And so awesome on the trails. For my shorter distance racing, the Carbon X has been pretty cool. So I'm a big fan of the light fast shoe, and the Rincon 3 also that just came out is just an awesome shoe.
Oh, so you already have your pair.
I do. Are you jealous?
Yeah, I'm a little bit jealous. Well, right now my go-to one is the Mach 4.
Oh, cool.
That's for day-to-day training and stuff. My race shoe is the Rocket X.
Oh, cool.
And we both agree on the Speed Goat 4 for trails.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan. I haven't tried the Mach 4 yet, so I'm gonna have to try that.
Oh yeah, you definitely got to try it. Yeah.
And is that's more for your everyday or?
Yes. Think of the Mach 4 as pretty much the Carbon X without the carbon.
Okay, cool.
So I mean, it is an awesome shoe. All right, so last year, just like everybody else, we had to deal with this thing called the pandemic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And it pretty much put the stop on a lot of things. Races were canceled, events were canceled. So how did that affect you as a runner?
It was tough. I think it really helped me get through it just because where I live, there were some places where I could run by myself and, that are open wide, I'm out kind of in the country area now. So there was no real risk of anything negative. But it was the first time, I just wanted to make everything positive, even though it was difficult. It was the first time I signed up for virtual races. And so the first couple races I did, it was just by myself virtually, which was weird on the one hand. But on the other hand, it was just really cool that I could still feel a part of the running community. That's kind of when I started more with Instagram. I was not really a big Instagrammer, but I was able to kind of still feel part of the community through social media. And that was positive for me, just to see other people and to kind of feel connected, et cetera, was a good thing. And then one day my partner came home. It was December or November, I guess, last November. And he knows, like, I really love being outside. I love the outdoors. I love travel. And it all those things kind of help me with anxiety and other things. Like, it's just really positive for me to kind of be out in nature. And he said to me, I'm going to get an RV, and this way we can kind of go places, and you can run on different trails in different places. And I thought, wow, like that would be really cool. But on the other, RV. I'm not really an RV type of type of girl. I don't know how that works or how we do that. And he came home with this RV, and we just kind of started driving. And we didn't have a full plan. Like, we knew we wanted to eventually get to my son's grandparents because they just really missed seeing him, and we found a way where we felt we could do it safely and whatnot. We were vaccinated and all that. And so we just learned all this stuff about the RV world and travel that I never would have thought of. And I got into trail running big time. And I know I said roads and trails, I love them both, but trails have really kind of won over. And we just traveled. We traveled to 28 states. So I ran everywhere from, Florida to Louisiana to, Lake Tahoe. We just would kind of find these places, and these national parks as well were just phenomenal. And for me, I never really traveled as a child. We were so poor. We just didn't have money, not even to go to a national park. And I know, a lot of families do these state park, national park visits. There was just none of that. We couldn't do it. And so it was phenomenal for me to have this running journey, to get back into running and to be able to do it in a way where I was just connecting with all these different communities and meeting different people online. Because of COVID, we wouldn't meet up together, but I would shoot a note to like a local running store or a local running group, and I'd say, hey, I'm new, I'm kind of in town, where would you recommend I run? And I've built some just cool friendships with people, just them telling me like, hey, check out this trail, or check this spot out, or this is like a really safe neighborhood for you. And it was really awesome to have that type of support. It made the running by myself not feel so lonely or, off, even though I do enjoy running alone. But the group runs are nice to change things up and to, to be social, to see people. Right. And so that was kind of how we as a family dealt with COVID as well, because it was weird as a new parent. Normally you'd be socializing your child and doing different things. And, we were basically almost hiding him from the world in the beginning because we were just so scared. We didn't want him to get sick. Mm-hmm. And we got to see these just mountains and rivers and lakes. And I think I'm embarrassed to say most of my travel national. I never, the grass is always greener. I always thought, oh, well, US is cool, but there are so many beautiful places abroad. And there are so many gorgeous places in the United States. And it just reopened my mind to new possibilities and kind of new challenges and new places to put on the bucket list.
Yeah, because I noticed, I think when, you and I first really connected, you were doing those travels.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to see all those pictures that, you were posting, where you were and, places you were running and the locations you were running.
Yeah, it was, and it was not overly planned. So, we'd know, all right, we're going through California, right? And so Yosemite was always on, a place I wanted to see. So we decided, okay, definitely Yosemite. And then we got to Yosemite and someone said, oh man, Lake Tahoe is so beautiful. So then we just kind of drove up to Lake Tahoe, managed to get like the last RV spot at this really pretty location right across from the lake. And then I'm exploring Lake Tahoe, and I didn't realize, high altitude running, what a difference that makes on your body. And, just different little bits, all kind of added to my running learning, if you will, from each different state that I visited. And it was cool. I mean, some of the places were so breathtaking. I felt bad because I felt in that trip, I mean, any of those spots could have been a once in a lifetime spot. Like that would be your big lifetime trip you talked about. And we did a lot of it. We crammed a lot of it into those months, and finally decided, it's been wonderful, but wanted to get home and wanted, you got to do normal doctor's appointments, that kind of a thing. Right. And also I wanted to pause it. I wanted to save all that beautiful stuff for another adventure. I almost felt like I didn't want to see it all too fast. I just wanted to hold on to the moments we were having.
Oh, yes, definitely. And spontaneity is actually a kind of a good thing. Sometimes it's great to plan. It's like, okay, we're going to California. We're going to go here, here, and here. But sometimes just to get there, it's like, let's just see what's here.
Yeah. And you never know what like your vibe is, like
Right.
sometimes you wake up. I'd love just like a quiet morning. I wake up and just kind of sit by water. I don't care if it's a lake or a river or the ocean. Just there's something really magical about being near the water early morning for me. I just have my coffee and I'd sit out there, and a lot of it, my son would dictate. If he was really in a get up and go, kind of mood, we would hit a national park, or, we'd go out and do things. If he was having a tough morning, we'd kind of just chill out in our camper. And we met some amazing people. I mean, someone knocked on our door one day. So funny, because we towed a Jeep, and they were big Jeep people. And they said, we would like to take you Jeeping to this spot in Arizona. It's one of the top Jeeping spots. And we thought, oh, not sure we can do that. And, we have our son, and they're like, no, he'll be great. He'll be great. Kids love it. Like, you got a car seat and everything, you're fine. And so we went. It was our first time ever doing anything like that, and, rock climbing and all that. And that was so cool. And, we never would have done it were it not for a knock on the door. Right. So
Right.
there are so many little moments like that were just pretty cool. And so many things that I've learned, like things that I want to kind of pay it forward to with other people.
Right. And so let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about this 50K you just completed.
Yeah. Okay.
So a 50K, what kind of spurred you or attracted you to doing a 50K?
That's a great question. I was loving all the trail running I was doing, and my runs were progressively getting longer. It almost wasn't intentional. I just was having so much fun. And I ran a half marathon and loved it. And just was thinking about what would be my next race. I didn't really want to run a marathon. I don't know why. And everyone makes fun of me. Everyone told me, actually, the next race you run will be a marathon. And I said, well, why? And they said, because it has to be. And I said, well, why does it have to be? I mean, what running god out there has dictated that I have to do a marathon next? And there was a 50K in my area, the Dahlgren Heritage Rail Trail, and it fell on August 7th was my grandma's birthday. And a lot of my races I like to dedicate to people. I always try to add meaning to them. And she was someone who's very special in my life. And I thought, wow, it's almost like she's talking to me. I thought, all right, like, let's try this. And so I asked my coach, I said, do you think I could do a 50K? And he was confident we could train and that I could. And I didn't train that long for it. I don't know how long professionals or most people who are ultra runners train for that. But I only trained about a month or two, and just decided, okay, here we go. We're going to do it. And so I did run a marathon in practice, like as part of the training. And that was tough because I ran it by myself on this trail, and it just it's tough to run a distance when you're totally alone. You're not with a group or anything when you're trying to pace yourself and time yourself. But the 50K, we expected it to be really hot and muggy. I was doing a lot of heat training, and one issue that I was working to really have nailed down was my nutrition and my hydration. And that was something that I kept kind of struggling with because it was a little longer than a marathon, and there were aid stations, but I was new to longer distances where you need the extra fuel and you need the extra hydration and all that. And so we worked on that in training. I wound up, I never thought I would carry one of those little vests with water backpack attached to it.
Hydration vest.
Yeah. But wore that, and it was a fun race. I went out at a decent pace, and I think up until the halfway point, I was second. I was fourth overall in the race, and I took a really hard fall, which can happen on the trails. And I had fallen earlier in the year in April at a really high elevation, hit rock and whatnot. And this trail I fell, and I just thought, oh no, like, I got up, I felt that I had kind of messed. I was covered in blood and dirt, and dirt in I would look a mess, I think. But I finished parts. I had to just walk to try to sort my leg out because I was really worried that I had damaged it. And you got to make those decisions. It's, do you push forward? What do you do? Like when you're injured and you're in the middle of something like that, and it's not a 5K where you can kind of walk off to the side. This happened halfway through, so you got 15 more miles to go. And I finished, and I was just so proud I finished. And it was a great experience overall. All the people were wonderful. It was definitely tough. I mean, you get to that, when anything past 20 miles, your body starts asking you, well, are you sure you're I mean, and it was just cool to see my family finish line. I mean, part of me also, even though my son is young, I just want him to see me out there doing tough things, different things. So he kind of has a broad kind of with just the world in general. And that was just a really awesome feeling for me to get a hug from him and to cross the line doing something like that.
No, and don't feel bad. I think you and we kind of talked about it before. I have no desire to do a marathon. Never done. Yeah. Get half marathons, no problem. I've just never had a desire to do it.
Yeah, I don't know why I felt that way. Would I do one now? Maybe. I mean, now I've 31 miles, right? So 26 would be shorter. It would just depend on the wear and all of that. But I'm glad I did the 50K. I don't know what's next. It's just been nice to kind of relax and think about it. I have some running related projects that aren't, if that makes sense, that I want to work on as well. And so we'll just kind of see.
Okay. All right. So this is a two-part question.
Okay.
All right. Your proudest moment as a runner, and then the second part, your worst moment or biggest mistake as a runner.
That's good. Proudest moment. Definitely winning the New York State Championship. I always go back to that because I was young. I had just gone through so much with losing my mom to HIV/AIDS. I just didn't know if mentally, it was a lot on me as a young person. And it was not something that I talked about with my coach or anyone. So no one really knew. So I really didn't have any support. It was just kind of something that was bottled up in me. Weeks leading up to the race, I injured I actually had a partially broken bone in my ankle. And went and got it checked because I needed to get cleared so that I could run. And the doctor was not sure he was going to clear me. He didn't want to clear me. And I remember it was a kind of an emotional conversation with him. I said to him, look, like, this is my chance. This is my shot. I was a poor kid, and so going to college, could I go to college? Right. But I wanted to go to a great college, and I needed to be seen. I needed to figure out a way to put myself in contention for some scholarships and whatnot. And winning the state championship was a way I could do that. And my grades were good and all that. But I also wanted it. I was just really hungry for it. And so winning that race was it was a big accomplishment for me. I was really proud that I held it together. It was not an easy race. It was not an easy season. It was my senior year, and it was really like my last shot. So that was one that I'm super proud of. A mistake. I think a mistake was my junior year. I had gotten to the point where, 7th, 8th grader, you're trying new distances, you're kind of winning some of the time, and you're having fun with it. And then junior year was the year where I realized like I wanted to be serious. And I almost was too serious with just my approach to my race and everything, to the point where I psyched myself out. And I think, I had a lot of fear for sure. I was putting so much pressure on myself. And so in the county meet for the 800, I was running the 800 then, and I hesitated. And so in hesitating, I completely got boxed in, and that was hard. And once I was boxed in, I knew I had lost the race, but I had to keep running it. And that was just, it was really tough. And I had a teacher from our school take pictures of, he was so good, he would come and take pictures of all of us in the races. And I still have those photos. And, every now and then I look at them, and I can just see, I can almost feel the emotion that I was feeling back then in each picture, the different frames, if you will. And I taught myself after that, because you want to learn from the bad experiences or the failures or the failed attempts or whatever you want to call them, to just not hold back, to just not hesitate, to not stop, to just remind myself. I really worked on my confidence all that summer. My junior year summer, it was just confidence building. And I was not a cross country runner, but one of the first races we ran for cross country was Bear Mountain. And Bear Mountain was this race up in upstate New York. And upstate New York is known for their cross country programs and their distance schools, whatever. And I was a scrappy kid from Long Island, and I just anything back, and I won the race. It was, at the time, I was one of the few Long Island runners to ever kind of place in that race. And it was a great feeling after coming off of something so negative, to kind of build myself back up, if you will, and to really get ready. And that race really helped me refocus what I wanted to do for the spring track season as a senior.
Okay. So what would your message be to a person who might be living a, hectic lifestyle, might be older, again, with family and stuff? And what would your message to them be if they say, it's too late for me to start? Whether it's to start running, start doing triathlons, start swimming, just start doing anything.
My message would be that, you can start at any point. Saying you're going to do something is tough. Like committing to the idea of it, that's hard, right? Actual starting, like taking that first run or that first swim or that first bike ride, is so hard, right? It's just hard to put yourself out there sometimes. You can make the time, you can find a way to make the time. There are 24 hours in a day, right? I think we fool ourselves. We're like, oh, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. Okay. I guarantee you, if you clocked how much time you spend going on Facebook, or you spend, going here or going there, like you could scrape together that 30 minutes to an hour to allow you to do it. But it comes down to, you have to want it. You have to kind of feel what I call that fire to want to do it. And I think the fire, you feel it in the beginning, right? Like when you get excited about starting something, there's a big push. And it's exciting. You're buying the new gear, you got a new pair of running shoes. If you're cycling, there's the shoes, the helmet, cyclists, like they just look all fly. They got the whole package going on. Swimming too, you got the goggles, the cap, and the first maybe couple times you do, you're out there, you're trying, it's hard, but the excitement is still there. I think what's tough is to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
I love the image of fire, because when you first light a fire, it can burn so hot and so bright, right? you got to keep that fire going. Like you got to keep maintaining that fire. You got to make sure that it doesn't burn out, right? Because you're going to need that fire, and you'll need it if you plan a race, whether it's a 50K or a triathlon or whatever. The training is not a joke. I mean, the training is hard. There were days when my alarm would go off at 3 a.m. and I did not want to run. Okay. I'm trying to get out of bed, and I love running. And I thought, oh, like, why am I doing this again? So we keep going back to my why, what was really driving me to want to do it, what really, what it was doing for me. Right. And then just reminding myself, like, this all connects, like all these small goals I need to complete if I'm going to make that bigger goal of completing this race happen. So like if I skip practice that's going to have a negative outcome on that 50K, or, if you don't hop in the pool, you're taken away from your training for the swim part of your triathlon.
Right. All right. So what is a non-running fact about you that most people don't know?
A non-running fact that most people don't know. Oh, that's a good I love dogs, but I think people probably know that. I'm trying to think. I'm a huge beach girl, and I think if I wasn't running, I'd be surfing. As crazy as that sounds, I love surfing and I love surf culture, and so I try to surf in unique places. So I've taken surf lessons in Puerto Rico. There's actually a whole incredible surf community in Puerto Rico, and I'd love to surf in Morocco. There's areas close by that you can surf there too, like when you get outside of Marrakesh and whatnot. And yeah, so I love that. So Hawaii is definitely on the list, and fingers crossed, I'll hopefully be helping to do something big in Hawaii next year.
Okay. Well, as we come to a close, that can lead into my next question. So what's next for you, whether it's 2021 or 2022? Are you preparing for anything? You got anything planned?
I do. So for my personal races, I don't have those fully nailed down yet. I know at the end of 2021, I'm very honored. I'm going to be speaking at the US Trail Running Conference.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so that's really exciting. And there are some race options there as well, but I haven't fully committed to whether I'll run the race there or not yet. I just have to see how things kind of line up. And then in 2022, I am actually going to be helping an athlete to complete the Epic Deca. And for folks who don't know, the Epic Deca is 10 kind of long distance endurance triathlons, sort of the Ironman style, in a row. And it will be across the Hawaiian. So I'll be part of the crew that is making all of that kind of happen for our athlete.
Okay. Well, Cheryl, thank you for coming on the show. It's been awesome talking with you.
Yeah, likewise. It's been really awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yes, you're welcome. And if anybody wants to get in contact with you or follow you or get to know you better, how can they do so?
I'm pretty accessible on Instagram. And so my Instagram is just @Gypsy Journey. And it's spelled kind of funny. It's GYPSEE JOURNEY. So Gypsy, like all the things you want to see.
Okay. Again, Cheryl, thank you.
Thank you.
And, I appreciate you coming on the show, and have a wonderful evening.
You too. Take care.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in each week. If you enjoyed today's show, please support us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast, so we can continue to have awesome conversations with everyday athletes just like you. Until next time, have an amazing week.